Hey everybody, welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the video game industry's message to all its adoring fans: go to hell. It's going to be a good one because we have Lex Luddy on the show, though. Lexi, how are you doing?
I don't think me being here is going to take it over to being a good one this time. I'll try.
We have to do our best. We have to do something.
I'll try, but I will say, right before this happened, a quick bit of breaking news that is good news. Apparently, the Krafton CEO stepped down and said that they will pay what the court ordered them to pay, which, yeah, no shit. You're not.
You bet fucking better. Yeah, of course you're going to do that. Crazy.
The headline from Bloomberg was like, Krafton agrees to pay $200 million bonus. I'm like, they didn't agree to shit. They didn't agree to do shit.
They were compelled by the court of law. Did they just fully put ChatGPT in charge now? Is that just the CEO going forward?
I didn't see who's in charge now, but I think it's a guy named Claude.
Okay. Fantastic. Wonderful. Welcome to the summer of gamers humiliation. Like it's going to be a parade of one awful thing after another that this industry is going to do to us. I mean, look, go pirate video games. That's my stance now. Just go steal them. Go play old games.
Have you heard of Shad PS4? It's real cool.
Go hack a 3DS. Do something cool with your life instead of trying to keep up with these idiots. This is we're coming in with the bummer attitude. If you're not caught up, you'll find out why here pretty soon as we get through the news. But look, I'm about to go on a little vacation. Just, it's a family. It's a road trip. We're going up to Michigan. It's nothing fancy, but it's something I look forward to. I cannot trust this industry to not shit its pants while I'm gone. Lexi is what I'm thinking right now. I think that next week is going to be even dumber. Who knows? We'll see.
It will. It will.
It certainly will, because we know the Xbox cuts are coming. So it's just I'm gonna try to tune out and come back and see what fires got started while I was gone. I do have a show tomorrow, everybody. So yeah, I'll be out Friday and next week, but there will be Game Mess Mornings next week. I talked to Mike Minotti. I said, buddy, could you get up early for me? And he was chipper about it. He's excited. So thanks to him for handling the show next week. So you see,
Mike loves being the Grim Reaper of Death, so he's excited for all the bad news next week.
I didn't think about leaving him with all that. Actually, that's fun. Oh, sorry, bud. All right, you know what? Let's get through it. Welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Let's explain ourselves. We are Giant Bomb, and we're trying to make this thing happen as independent games media. And the one way that you can ensure that we make this happen is by going to giantbomb.com/join, becoming a premium member, and that will support independent games media and ensure that we can keep doing things the way we want, regardless of what's like the tempest that is happening outside of our gates. We can kind of keep it chill over here and focus on what matters, which is playing some cool games and hanging out and talking to each other about them. We're going to maintain that as best we can. And we are going to be able to do that with your help. You guys have been coming through for a long time now. And really, I want to thank everybody for doing exactly that and supporting us. We appreciate it. Gets you ad-free versions of our shows, gets you premium exclusives, including the new This Is the Run Sewer Shark, which Mike Minotti will be playing through Sewer Shark from beginning to end. That first episode is up now. It is free if you want to check it out on YouTube. I believe that's right. And then the new episodes going forward of, these are test runs, obviously, that he's doing right now. Obviously, the final run will be happening any second. But tune in for that on giantbomb.com/join. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help use your game. Oh, go ahead. Would you
6, 3, 9.
Oh, okay, so that's right. Left. No, I got it wrong already. Shit.
Yeah. That game seems like it would be impossible with you fuckers in the background.
Yeah, we're not helping. Look, I tried to help for 5 minutes and then I got bored. So
yeah,
whose fault is that? Not mine.
Listen, Grubb, I don't blame because it's ADHD, it's whatever. Dan actively sabotaging.
Oh yeah, for sure. And coming up with new ways to sabotage.
Dan is gonna create his soundboard with those audio clips on them saying.
We did, yes. Did he say that in that first episode? Because he does eventually say that. We bulk recorded him. Lexi, you're 100% right that he had that thought and said it out loud. And he said he's not going to do it. but we'll see what happens
so
on the
mature.
next bulk recording.
Yeah, he's so mature.
As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you were watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings, or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Rhythm Heaven Groove reviews. It has an 84 on OpenCritic with just a handful of reviews, somewhere between like 15 and 20, I think. I'm one of those reviews. I'll talk about my opinions here in a second. Did get a 10 out of 10 from Jordan Biordi at CG Magazine. Rhythm Heaven Groove is not only incredibly fun, backed by an amazing soundtrack, but it's so unbelievably accessible, practically everyone can play it. Got a 7.5 out of 10 from Serial Killers, which is either a person or a website. I don't know. Rhythm Heaven Groove is not an easy game to evaluate, as it is a collection of rhythm-based mini-games with extremely simplistic gameplay. Nevertheless, we could not completely resist the series' unique charm and found ourselves coming back for more, for just one more round, I should say, time and time again. And then I gave it 4 stars. And I said, Rhythm Heaven brings the cute quirkiness the series is known for to the Switch. It's also packed with a lot of content and distractions. It might be missing some of the charm that has made previous games some of the best in the genre, though. So yeah, that's kind of where I land on this thing. The music is great. When you're playing the mini games, they are a ton of fun. I just think the presentation is off occasionally. It looks sometimes cheap. I think the menus look almost... Like, I didn't say this in the review because but it looks like Unity placeholders sometimes, the menus.
I was going to ask, there was that whole era of Nintendo games that were kind of like business retreat fun, you know? Yeah. The Mario Party on the Wii games, all of the like just a lot of the font texts were like what a bank manager thinks is fun when they go on a business retreat. Yes. And like, is it kind of like that, or is it just like doesn't look finished? Yeah,
this is not going to make sense to anybody, but yes, this is the Alexi Lawless of Rhythm Heaven games. Yes, that's unfair to Rhythm Heaven. Rhythm Heaven is like this game specifically. Groove just feels like yes, there some style was lost in the translation to this one. Not a ton. Most of it's still there. There are several mini games that have the cute, quirky, and style all happening at the same time, and those ones are standouts for sure. I just think that they kind of have a house style now for each of these looks, and it's got that like, sometimes it reminds me. I'm not saying it is. Reminds me of like AI art, where it's like there's like this weird texture to this cat doll that tries to give it some depth, but it's still very flat looking. I'll just say it looks generic many times. That is my biggest criticism here. And it's not always generic. A lot of times it's very charming. And then when you are playing one of these mini games that really does hit, you kind of can't help but just keep going until you can perfect it. And the music is so good. The timing feels so right that you will kind of be in a situation where like I can perfect these, and look at me. I don't have a ton of rhythm, and yet I'm able to make it happen because that's what these games do best. Is they sort of
I know, Grubb, those shoulders don't lie.
These shoulders don't lie. They are the whitest thing around, right? I'm looking everywhere. It's whiter than the screen I have in front of me. Yes, it's very it's telling.
Impressive that you're on a podcast with someone from Ireland and you're the whitest person here.
Look, I'm trying to do something about it. I'm going to go to Traverse City and stand out in the sun until I come back and I'm appropriate again. I really enjoy this game. The number of levels is right in that sweet spot where, there's a ton here, but it's not so overwhelming. That's like at a certain point, I just run out of steam. There are some great distractions, including Beat Spell, which is, they showed this off in one of the direct trailers or whatever. It is kind of an RPG-like thing, but you do a rhythm-based, you have a diamond around your character, and the diamond at each point has a circle. That's where the beat is lining up. And if you press B at the top circle, and then for the next beat, the right circle, you press A, you're going to do a flame spell. And if you want to do a healing spell, you do B down A, but the down happens between the two beats. So you're kind of doing a half beat now. And that's a little bit different. And you kind of feel like, okay, I'm getting in the flow of things. Then, of course, there are more complicated spells. And as you get done with fights, you can upgrade these spells. And they're like short little runs. You kind of do 4 fights in a row, and then you start over on a different level. And you kind of have to upgrade everything again. That is super engaging, actually, to go like to be in a fight and sort of monitoring like the boss's damage level and how much damage they're doing to you, your health, your HP, and trying to like, okay, I'm gonna just sort of default to doing an attack, and I'll see, like an RPG, it's gonna be elemental based. So this one is a fire boss. I'm gonna use my wave spell, which actually takes a little bit longer to do than the fire spell. So it's like it's a little bit more risk reward, but clearly I have to use it because that's a fire boss. You'll be doing that, and then that boss, because it's a boss, can do a lot of damage. As soon as that happens, you flip over from doing the wave spell to doing your heal, and kind of flipping back and forth between that to the beat, trying to keep that all going without losing. Because once you mess up, it's a little bit hard to get back on the beat, and you kind of feel like, oh my god, it's all falling apart. Trying to recover from that is also very fun, though. But managing all of that in one go with these boss battles is very fun. And it's not like some super substantial thing, Lexi, this beat spell, but they dole it out in a pretty smart way where they first open it up after you complete like the first set of levels, the first stage, I think they call it a stage, but like the first world. Then you go play that, and it's like, okay, go do the second world, and then you can come back. And so it creates this sort of nice back and forth of like, oh, I get to play more of that game as a break between going to the next levels or whatever. So it has nice pacing for this like weird little rhythm game that's weird, but there's just so much stuff that you really can distract yourself if you are losing steam on any of the levels. And then, yes, perfecting a stage does feel as good as ever. I've only done it once. So, yeah, but it really did stand out. Any interest in a game like this, Lexi?
I do. It's very hard to justify. As someone that never had the Rhythm Heaven series growing up, I never owned DS consoles when I was young. It's very hard to justify spending money on it. I might reach out to Pure about it, but it is, yeah, I'm delighted that they are still making games like this. And it sure is refreshing to see a video game company make and release video games.
Yeah, to be like, and like, not just that, like this, the worry that I always had with the Switch early on. This is something I've probably talked about on this show, but I talked about it on some other shows in the past. When that Switch came out, it's like, cool. I like this. Oh, they're bringing all the studios together from the 3DS side and the Wii U side, and they're kind of mixing them all together and be like, no, you guys just make Switch games now. And like, oh, but wait, I like these $30, $40 DS games and 3DS games that you guys were making in between all the big ones that you're making for the Wii U or even for the 3DS. And are those going to go away? And it's like they kind of did a little bit, but they're finding ways to keep doing them like this at $50. And for me, I'm like, I will accept that as like, they want to charge more because they obviously want to charge more for everything. If that means we keep getting these games that are they can't do for $80 and $70, I will accept it. And I'm pretty happy with the results so far. I mean, I think they've had a good run of these. Yoshi was pretty good. There's other games coming soon. Oh, Splatoon Raiders is going to be a $50 game, right? So, yeah, I think they've kind of figured that stuff out, and I welcome it.
It's a single player game, Grubb, that you play with your friends.
That you can play with your friends. All right, Nintendo Switch 2 model spotted in the wild with updated screen. Let's get this news out of the way because it's kind of fun.
All the news today is so good. This is also good. They're improving the Switch screen.
We're on a roll here. Nothing can go wrong.
I'm going to live forever.
A new Nintendo Switch 2 model has reportedly been spotted, featuring a redesigned LCD screen as spotted by Nintendo Patents Watch. The updated model allegedly surfaced on a Chinese resale site and features a sharp LCD panel with significantly redesigned inputs compared to the standard Switch 2 model, suggesting that it's not a minor revision. It's speculated that the new screen could potentially address the ghosting issue that the launch model suffers from compared to its predecessor. Or it could simply be related to the revised Nintendo Switch 2 model, recently confirmed to be coming to Europe to comply with new regulations requiring that all consumer products with built-in batteries make them easily removable. Either way, it's definitely not the Switch 2 OLED upgrade many users have been hoping for, and probably keep hoping for, because I doubt that's happening anytime soon, since the console was first released. Yeah, this is interesting just because it's like I think people are like, oh, could this happen already? And it's maybe a bit soon, but I also think Nintendo would obviously be feeling the crunch to do anything they can to have a revised model that reduces costs. And you can sort of do two birds with one stone, right, Lexi? Where it's like, hey, put in a new screen. Let's we'll go make our deal with Sharp for the next set of screens for the Switch, and just start putting those in this one while we comply with regulations and also get costs down. Like, will this be like the Switch revision with the bigger battery, or the better battery wasn't bigger, a better battery life, I should say? Probably not, because that had a revised chip, like that used a smaller process, so it was more energy efficient. I don't know if that's happening here, although I guess I wouldn't be insanely surprised if that is the case. Again, that would be a real good way for them to reduce costs, because they could get more chips per wafer, stuff like that. But yeah, I guess maybe an improved screen, that sounds good to me, although I'm not someone who's noticed the ghosting yet.
It is funny that we're like, ooh, an improved screen from Sharp.
Yeah,
great. Yeah. That's how bad the screen was. That we're like, ooh, Sharp, ooh,
Sharp. And then I know Nintendo's worked with Sharp on screens since like the Game & Watch, which is crazy. It's like, where they still do all right screens is on handhelds or that form factor.
But yeah, Nintendo have done these minor revisions early on in console generations before. They did it for the Switch 1, if you remember, was cracked within a week and was very easy to pirate, to the point that if you were a games reviewer, they wouldn't send you a code if you owned a launch Switch model. You would have to own a more late series Switch model or Switch OLED or whatever, which sure wasn't a pain in the ass.
Because if you give it to the wrong people, they're going to tell you how many cat shines are in a game, and then it's bad. And
you're right.
Yeah. So can't trust these reviewers.
But yeah, I'm not surprised that they're doing this, because I don't know. I've gotten to the point with the Switch 2 screen where for 3D games I can generally ignore it, but when I play 2D stuff, that the ghosting and the smearing is pretty rough sometimes. And it's something that I do notice, but I know lots of people don't. If it's something that brings down their price, that's fucking great right now. Like, anything to bring down their price, and if it happens to be better, that would be lovely.
Exactly. If we get a little bit more out of that for people buying Switch 2s going forward. Like, this is not the kind of thing where I think, I'm going to replace my Switch 2 or anything, Lexi. Like, that would be kind of crazy, because I do expect more revisions, more substantial revisions to be coming not that far off. Like, we could be in a situation where in a year, 2 years, we're going to be seeing a Switch 2 model, and maybe like a Switch 2 Lite, that could really get the cost down potentially, I guess. And if those come, it's like, at that point, I probably will upgrade. But I'm still pretty happy with the Switch 2. Let me see the screen in person, I guess. Maybe if it's substantially better, like very noticeably better, without like side-by-side comparison, maybe that would move me. But I'm not expecting that.
The big problem with a Lite console this generation is that, like, the Switch 1 Lite got way cheaper because they took out a lot of the expensive stuff, a lot of the expensive IR cameras and, the Joy-Con functionality and stuff like that. That's not the stuff that's expensive anymore. Like, that stuff's fucking pennies. It's the stuff that has to go in it anyway that's now expensive. So actually bringing prices down for a Switch Lite is going to be a real challenge.
Yep, I think you're right. I do wonder how they're like thinking about that stuff, because they have probably had plans to do all kinds of different revisions along the way on their roadmap, and I always got the sense that they were going to plan a Lite alongside 2027 to get close to that Pokemon game. But yeah, it's probably not going to happen that soon. No way. All right, let's get to this next one. Let's get into it. Physical disc production ending in January 2028 for new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. I will repeat it for people who are like, wait, what? Physical disc production ending in January 2028 for new games, all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. This is from Sid Schumann.
Let's be fair before we get into this. How is the Sony Corporation meant to manufacture Blu-ray discs?
They really have to, they probably have to go through some Byzantine network and like talk to some people in back alleys. Like, who even handles that Blu-ray consortium? It's impossible to know. From Sid Schumann at PlayStation.blog. As consumer preferences and the broader entertainment industry continue to shift away from physical discs to digital, physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued starting January 2028. Following this date, new games will be available on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. This transition has no impact on games that already released or will be releasing prior to January 2028 in disc format. This is a natural direction for Sony Interactive Entertainment to adapt to consumer trends as the general preferences for digital media significantly outpaces physical discs. This transition will enable us to align more closely with how most of our community prefers to access and play games today. I don't give a fuck about you aligning with that. What are you saying? Why is what? Oh, great, they're aligned with trends, Lexi.
That was the problem with the games industry. We weren't aligned with trends enough.
Try not to throw such a huge party about it, Lexi. What? Come on, show some decorum. Don't be so excited about this. I don't. Look, we know, like, we were on a sort of a timer here. Like, we knew.
Yeah. Matt Piscatella was out there kind of saying, like, disc products were on borrowed time. But I think that the thing that I think Sean on Blue Sky mentioned, and it's a very salient point, is that, like, this isn't about getting rid of the secondhand market necessarily. Like, that's a bonus for them. That's certainly a bonus for them. It's about having the only market in place where you can buy these stuff. Like, PlayStation is a closed ecosystem. If you own a PlayStation, you can't buy games on any other storefront unless you buy physical games, unless you go out and you shop around between Best Buy and Target and CEX and all these different retailers across the world, and you compare prices and they push prices down. PlayStation, if everything is digital and everything is only on their storefront, they set the price. These are companies that are looking over at how the RAM companies are doing business and are going, why aren't we acting like this? We could be making so much more money if we just became monopolies, and we did that because fucking no one's gonna regulate us. Because apparently there's bigger problems in the world right now. I think that also this coming literally days after all those studio channel movies were taken out of PlayStation users' libraries, like, that's less of a red flag and more of a smoking gun of this is the kind of economy and ecosystem that these companies want to build. Like, it's not only... This is them saying you don't own anything anymore. Everything is at will. You pay money to rent a thing from us until we take it away, and we can take it away at will. That's the model that they're going for here. Like, you're no longer buying a license. You're buying, you know, a timer, and a timer that you can't see. And they will take it away, and we know they'll take it away because of the next story that they posted on the PlayStation blog today. And so, like, yeah, if you want to own your shit, the only way to do it now is it's either piracy or it's to play old consoles that do have physical, like, media. And that fucking sucks. This is what happens when you don't have competition in the video game console space. Like, Nintendo are off doing their own thing, and that's great, and we like Nintendo games, but they are not competing directly with Sony. Xbox were the force that were competing directly with Sony, and when there isn't another company there to push these other companies in line with, you know, consumer goodwill and to keep fighting for consumer goodwill to try to best each other, this is what you get. And right now you have an Xbox that is clearly checked the fuck out and does not give a shit about consumer goodwill. And so Sony's going like, well, if they don't have to, why the fuck should we? We own like 80% of the market. So yeah, like, this whole fucking thing is... I said it on Blue Sky a few months ago, and it's more true today than it was then, of the games industry feels like a house party where all the music got turned off.
Yeah.
And now people are just looking around, and what do you do next?
It's almost worse than that, right? It's like it's a house party where it's like, you went to the bathroom and you came back, and the only people there are now the parents who own the house. And it's like, It's like, oh, okay, this has bad vibes and sucks, and their interests are not aligned with mine.
And all the parents' lawyers and all of their investors and like all of the young kids are gone because they can't afford to fucking be near the house anymore. And you're like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to take out a fucking loan to spend time in this house.
Yes. People are pointing out a bunch of extra stuff in the chat. Like, for example, they stopped selling digital codes at retailers for games in 2019, like a long time ago. So it's not like you can go to your GameStop and be like, okay, just give me a digital code for X or Y. Like that will come down to the publishers putting those codes in boxes. That's your best chance to get that. So yeah, and then like we knew retail was sort of like diminishing. Like GameStop was something that people were not visiting as much, but there was still competition for pricing, and that did mostly actually come from the secondhand market. That's why like that sort of became synonymous with the market as a whole, because that's where a lot of people who are price conscious were finding themselves. So, man, backwards compatibility on the place. You know what? Let's get to the next story, then we can bring it in. PlayStation 6 almost guaranteed for 2028 after digital-only news, analyst says. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. Wednesday's news that PlayStation will discontinue all physical game disc production starting in January 2028 almost certainly guarantees that PlayStation 6 won't launch before that date. That's according to Ampere analyst Piers Harding-Rolls, who believes that confirmation of PlayStation's all-digital future telegraphs quite a lot of information about Sony's next-generation console, which was previously expected to arrive in late 2027. First, we believe this almost certainly guarantees that the PlayStation 6 won't arrive until 2028 at the earliest, he said. Ampere's current expectation is that the console will launch at the end of 2028. Secondly, according to Harding-Rolls, PlayStation 6 will now, at a minimum, not include a physical disc drive, which, obviously, Sony will be looking for all the ways it can reduce the cost of its next-gen console, and this is an easy win. He added, it's possible that an add-on disc drive could be made available to play older PS4 and PS5 games on disc. Lexi, do you think that's true?
No, I'm going
right.
to...
In this moment, it doesn't feel true.
It does. If they are not out there saying you will still be able to buy or play all those PlayStation 5 discs. I own 3 copies of Mind's Eye for the PS5. What am I meant to do now?
I own 2 now,
If I want to play it on a PS6, I think that if they're not out there saying, like, you'll still be able to play your full library, they're not saying that. And that's what you say when you want to reassure people they can still play their full library. And
like even if you haven't announced the PS6, right? You say, and don't worry, in the future, we will provide solutions to those of you with massive game disc collections. That's nowhere to be found in here. They have no reference to people, though they just say this doesn't affect games that have already come out. Which, no shit.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Of course.
I can still play a PS2 if I want to. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. So I'm with you where it's like I like yesterday's show maybe or on the Bombcast yesterday I was talking about like, the next gen consoles won't launch with disc drives, but they'll have disc drives to sell $150 collector's editions. The way this works, or the way it worked, I'm not familiar these days exactly with how this all goes down, but the way it used to work was you'd make a game. You would go to the Nintendos and the PlayStations and be like, okay, can we get some copies printed? And then they were like, you kind of pay us a little bit of money. We'll do the printing for you. Or that's part of the licensing fee to be on our platform. And we control the discs and stuff like that. So if PlayStation's not doing it, and they're saying all new games, like will not, like, to me, that says there's not even going to be a solution for the boutique printers to get their discs on these consoles.
I mean,
and why would Sony bother with making a drive if that's the case?
They're clearly not communicating with those boutique printers because I've seen no less than 3 of them put out statements being like, we're going to fucking fight for something, but we don't know what we're even going to be fighting for yet because we don't know what the extent of this is.
We don't know.
I think Ryan, I'll find one of the quotes there. But yes, these companies, I am 8-bit, Limited Run, they seem like they have been taken Lost and Cult are also out there saying that we aim to do everything in our power to preserve video games to the best of our ability, and will continue to do so as long as we can. And like no sense of communication and no sense of like if there's any way forward for these companies that are built around this boutique industry to still exist. So yeah, it's fucking nuts. The like just cutthroatness of this industry the last few weeks. It feels exceptionally like the last 15 or so years were people positioning themselves in pro-consumer ways, and now they've all realized they've
Jack
looked
Tretton
over
on stage being like, man, discs rule, fuck Xbox. And it's been like a little over 10 years, and here we are.
And over the last 18 months, they've kind of looked over at AI companies and seen how they've brute forced the market, and you don't actually need people to like your product. You don't need people to like you. You don't need people to use your product. You just need to create a circular flow of investment and money that you can keep on feeding to yourself. And you can cut out all the pores that were limiting you. You can cut out all the pores that had expectations and demands and, you know, personal opinions. And you can just find ways to make people have to give you money.
It's the ultimate K-shape economy, right? That's where we're headed with the K-shape of like, again, the K-shape economy is like, hey, do you feel like you don't have as much money and the economy's really bad? Yeah, it's true for you. But then why do you look at the stock market and it's up? Well, like there's for the top 10%, top 15%, it's going the other direction. Things are getting better. All that money, you know, the economy's not growing, but the rich keep getting more money and you have less money. Gee, I wonder where their money's coming from. So it's a situation where every sort of business has to reorientate themselves toward the top of the K and be like, the money has to come from the people who already have money, and that then you get into these circular investment schemes. And the ones that aren't a part of it yet are jealous and are trying to find out ways to get into that party without, you know, any concern about when the balloons will pop or anything like that. Okay, so here a couple things. PlayStation 5 Pro is already a PlayStation 6, and if you have that PS5, there's not going to be a much reason to get a PlayStation, because the games are not going to look that much better. They're not going to be that much different, and there's no way they're going to cut off the PS5 prematurely with it's going to be a long cross-gen period. So like people are already going to be like, why am I getting the PS6? And to give the physical people who are in that early adopter, like a big part of that, a reason to skip out on it just seems like a little bit. So now the way they can counter that is, and it seems like this is the direction they're going, PS6 could maybe at this point be a handheld first and foremost, where it's like it's a portable version of PS5 or something like that, and they call it a PS6, and it has portable potential or whatever. In that case, it was never going to have a disk drive.
That sounded like a great idea a year and a half ago. But now you look over at the cost of like a Lenovo Legion Go or any of these different things.
Yeah.
These PC handhelds, new ones, which are basically what you'd want. You know, they are not like exceptionally overpowered. They are kind of like what was promised with the Steam Deck of this is where we'll get to with second and third generations of these products. You look over at them and you're like, these are not affordable to consumers. These are not affordable to enthusiasts. These are affordable to rich people. And that's kind of it. And so, yeah, like that multiple SKU PlayStation allotment. Also, multiple SKUs sounds like way more difficult nowadays because suddenly they'll be trying to get different types of VRAM and RAM, and like they will be trying to get different components for these different SKUs. And we know from the Steam machine that even agreeing like on one thing, like they're putting one stick of RAM into each Steam machine. You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that with your PC.
They know they shouldn't be doing it too. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like this feels like the extra SKUs, because right now we're hearing kind of the rumor is that it will be two. It will be a handheld and a desk or actual console, real deal console. And that seems like it's going to cause them a whole lot of headaches in the current market where sourcing any kind of components for any kind of hardware is extremely difficult.
Later today, after this show, we're going to be doing a stream with Abby Russell where we sit down and talk about like emulation handhelds and stuff, and we'll make the focus of that sort of how can we still enjoy this hobby after all this stuff, everybody. So tune in.
Get one of these.
Get one of yes, exactly. We'll be talking about that. We're going to kind of do I'm going to bring in my top 3 emulation handhelds, and we'll talk to Abby about it, answer her questions in chat. Bring your questions, please.
I can play Dirt 3 at 60 FPS on the go anytime I want. Life is so good.
Which is what I'm going to be doing now on my vacation. I've decided, hell yeah, I'm going to get Dirt 3 on my Thor. Okay.
Might be a little bit difficult to source a Steam code on that one, Grubb.
Oh, okay. I'll figure it out. Don't worry. I'll get it going. All right. Let's see here. Let's see. You know what? Let's take a break, actually.
Yeah.
Let's take a break, and then we'll come back and talk about more Sony news about them doing stuff. They're doing it all at once. Again, while they can get away with it, it feels like. We'll get into all that after these messages. If you want to skip out on these ads, you can do that. giantbomb.com/join. You can get the ad-free versions of the shows there. We will be right back. All right, it's Game Miss Mornings. Lex Luddy, Jeff Grubb. Lexi, what's up?
Before we get back into the bad news, I feel like I should cheer us all up.
Please.
Jurg Cruz Alvarez, friend of the site, PR person, is currently on maternity leave or paternity leave, which I can't remember.
Parental leave.
Parental leave. Very cute picture with his baby just went up, wrapped in a Super Mario 3D World mainline Mario, blankish.
Good.
And Dan has replied, "Get me on the phone with Ish."
Cool. Yeah. Dan versus children. It's a battle as old as time. It's just, it's always epic. All right. Sony is closing the PlayStation Store on PS3 and Vita. If that sounds familiar, this has happened before. From Chris Scullion at VGC, Sony has announced that it will be closing the PlayStation Store for PlayStation 3 and Vita. After nearly 2 decades of supporting the PS3 console generation, we wanted to let you know we will be closing the PlayStation Store on PS3 as well as the PS Vita. The company said to ease the transition, players will still be able to download previously purchased content after the closing date for the foreseeable future. Definitely putting a period at the end of that sentence where it's like, wait, okay, I mean, that means there is a time where this won't be the case, which of course that's the situation. According to Sony, the PS3 store will first close in Mexico, Honduras, and Nicaragua in August 2026, followed by additional Latin America and Middle Eastern countries in late 2026. The PS3 and Vita stores in all other countries will then close in July 2027. They originally tried to do this, if people remember, way back in 2021, 5 years ago now. And then everyone kind of freaked out, was like, well, this feels too soon. And PlayStation backed off. And I'll say 5 years, it was a longer stay of execution than I was expecting at that time. And I think at this point, Sony could be like, look, you guys said you were going to freak out. Do you want to see the numbers of how many PlayStation 3 games you guys are buying? Here's both of them. Like,
Grubb, do you want to know what you have to do to buy a game on the PS3 nowadays?
Please. Yes, actually, I bet it is a pain in the ass.
Because I did this a few years ago. I built up a bit of a PS3 library because I was like, I love my PS3. I never played that many online games digital games because I didn't have access to a credit card when I was younger. And so I was like, I'm going to get some of the important PlayStation 3 download titles or whatever. If you want to buy a new game on the PlayStation 3, first you have to log into your PS4 or PS5. You have to delete any credit cards that you have tied to that account. Because if you try to buy a game on the PS3 store with a credit card, it errors out and it says it just won't do that. Okay. Then you have to go to an in-person store and buy a PSN voucher and put that money onto your PSN account. Also on your PS4 or PS5. Then you can log into the PS3 store or Vita store and peruse their selection of games on the world's slowest storefront.
Content
and
delivery network from the Flintstones. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can purchase things that way. And if you re-add your credit card to your account, you have to do that all over again.
Cool.
Yeah.
Man, consoles just work is what I always say. Yeah, that's them just not caring, right? They just didn't care to fix any of that. So
Yeah.
people had to find ways around. I think that they are going to just like use that situation that they obviously created to be like, people aren't really buying these games anymore. We gave you a lot of extra time. We're going to shut these things down. And it does seem quieter this time. I guess I haven't looked around too much. I bet the people are still having a bit of a backlash to this news. But this is the eventual fate of all of these stores. Well, I mean, it's the eventual fate of everything. Nothing lasts forever. Duh. But it does feel weird to be like, man, when you buy these games in that moment, it does feel like I have this. It's eternal. This thing is now mine. And that feeling has always been a lie. And it never feels more true than when a store like this closes down. Now, PS4, the whole thing, and Phil Spencer said this about like the whole thing with the strength of the PlayStation brand now at this point is people got PS4s in droves because it seemed like the right system to get. It was $100 cheaper, and it just Xbox felt like it was poisoned in that moment after Xbox One. And then immediately following that, people began building up their digital libraries on the PlayStation. Obviously, some of that happened on PS3, but mostly happened on PS4, and it sort of cemented people in that moment. The PS4 store, because of that, you would think should be running for way longer. Am I missing something there? Should we expect that to close down soon as well, Lexi, or what?
I mean, it's fundamentally a thing where they've said that their future consoles are going to be built on the same architecture.
Right.
And
that's right. So it's like the PS5 store is the PS4 store, essentially.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. And so that's like the one saving grace that you have is that, and now a lot of this stuff is built into the current systems as much as it is the old systems. The PS3 to PS4 store, yes, you had like some cross-buy games, but you aren't able to you're not natively able to run PS3 applications on your PS4 or PS5. Remember when that was a rumor back at like before the PS5 came out, when the big rumor was like, yeah, you'll be able to play PS3 games on it.
Yeah. Yep.
Man, what a different world.
Man, God, yeah, right. Put a PS3 disc into your PS6. What will happen? It'll explode. Yeah, this is the kind of thing where, look, this is the situation we find ourselves in. We don't have to accept it, but what does that look like? I mean, it can look like yelling at these companies to try to get them to change their mind. What it really looks like is taking matters into your own hands and being part of communities that are preserving these things on their own. And living the life of saying, oh, I did buy this thing. It is mine. I don't care what you say. Lawyer at this corporation about licenses or whatever. I bought it. It's mine. Ethically, I'm in the clear. And I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure that I have access to this game for the rest of my life and onto my children's lives and passing it on to them. This is mine now. And that comes down to community preservation. It comes down to emulation and all of the various ways that people have found to do this. And it is why those scenes are thriving.
The one thing that I forgot to say is, like for the last news story and this one, this also comes at a time where storage space on systems is now worth actual monetary value in a way. Like, I had a really fucked up thought the other day, which is how much storage space will GTA 6 be worth?
Yes, in cents, yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be cents, Grubb, because that game's going to be over 250 gigabytes.
Uh-huh.
And if you look for a 250 or, whatever gigabyte drive on Amazon right now, those are about $100.
Those are like $100, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to take up $100 worth of space. Also worth remembering that most PS5s, even the ones that are listed as 1 terabyte, ship with 600 gigabytes of usable space or 650 gigabytes of usable space. So that's also great.
It's crazy because they say 1 terabyte, but they were never 1 terabyte, right?
They were never 1 terabyte. Yeah.
It was like 825. And then
it was 825, and then there was the system OS,
stuff.
and yeah.
Crazy. All right, let's move on here. Hideo Kojima's Xbox exclusive horror game reportedly safe from Microsoft's cuts. As a reminder, over the last week and kind of going into next week, there's all kinds of rumors of cuts and oncoming cuts and jobs being lost and studios being closed.
Grubb, I'll say while we were here,
Please.
might not even be as far as next week.
Yeah, I mean, clearly stuff's already happening, right? The IO Interactive talking about losing their contract for Project Fantasy. That's happened already, and that directly affects jobs. Now, those aren't Microsoft jobs, but those are jobs created by Microsoft money, and now that's pulled. Always an undertold story as part of this, as these studios get closed, those studios have contracts with contractors, and that's contracted companies and private contractors and individuals, and all those jobs go away as well, or that money for those freelancers goes away.
I can see there being a big push to get the worst of this done before the 4th of July, when there's probably going to be other news stories that will be picked up by mainstream media around that time.
July 3rd is a day off for a lot of people, right? But they don't have. I mean, it's a Friday.
July 2nd isn't.
Yeah, July 2nd, they could just take out the trash tomorrow, and yeah, you're right. Yeesh. All right, so Arcane Studios, Double Fine, all these in the news. People are wondering, like, where's the line? Because Arcane and Blade, that feels like that should be on above the line. That's a big project. They keep saying they're focused on their heavy hitters, but it's like sounds like that one might be in trouble, insanely. So where is the line? Well, does it include OD from Kojima? Sounds like it doesn't. Reportedly, it is safe from the expected huge cuts at Microsoft's gaming division. That's according to IGN, which claims the project will survive Xbox's planned business reset, which has so far already seen it drop a planned fantasy RPG game from Hitman Studio IO Interactive, leading to potential layoffs at that studio. OD remains in development at Kojima Productions and will still be published by Xbox Game Studios, according to sources. In a statement published on Tuesday, Xbox said it was taking a fresh look at where we invest, so we're focusing on our highest priorities. We're not reducing our overall investment in games. The hell you aren't. What are you talking about?
Me when I'm lying.
Yeah, I mean, it's the idea here that it's like, we'll take this money we're saving from these studios and put it into Halo, because you're not going to put all that. I mean,
no,
it doesn't work that way.
They'll put it into AI factories / data centers that they will put to work on making stuff for King.
Right. It'll say Xbox, and it'll say King on the side, and that'll count or whatever. That is their company line right now. We are not reducing our overall investment in games. So they continue just to speak out of both sides of their mouth. They continue to do this thing of let's put the best foot forward. And I'm sure Copilot made it sound palatable to them when they're like, go out there and say this, and that'll satisfy people, because technically, and so I don't want to hear it.
Not to pick a fight or anything, but if you missed it, go read that Entertainment Weekly profile of Asher Sharma from the week of Summer Games Fest. And listen, I know we all gotta make money, but if you're gonna write something like that, and you've written for video game websites in the past on your byline, and you call yourself a geek reporter,
I mean, even like the sort of most cynical take on that of you got to stay in the good graces of Microsoft. No, you don't. They're not going to be here. You're going to outlast them. You're going to be here longer than Microsoft and Xbox, doing this stuff. So you need to maintain some integrity. Some.
It's like when someone asked me if I was worried about upsetting Pearl Abyss by being negative about Crimson Desert. I was like, guys, they've released one video game in 6 years. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be a problem.
I'm not going to get their next game, whatever. Yeah.
They self-published and did their own PR. I'll be fine.
And the PR was weird about it. So, you couldn't predict whether or not they were going to be happy with you, even if you did give them a decent score. So, it doesn't matter. U.S. bill requiring paid games to be playable after they shut down has failed to pass a Senate vote. So good news. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. A U.S. bill designed to stop paid games from being terminated and being made unplayable in the future has failed to pass a Senate vote. The Protect Our Games Act, which was proposed by California Assemblyman Chris Ward, was put to a vote at the California State Assembly last month, where it won a vote of 43-16. The next step was to pass the bill to the state Senate, where it was debated and voted on. Again, had this vote passed, a final version of the bill would have then been created with House and Senate members before being submitted for final approval. However, as noted on the Reddit page of Stop Killing Games, a consumer movement seeking to preserve video games after they've been taken offline to prevent them becoming unplayable, as was the case with The Crew, the bill lost the vote at the state Senate after 4 Democrats voted yes, 3 Republicans voted no, and the rest abstained, which just seems like shouldn't. Why? Fucking vote on these things. Those abstentions matter, a campaign volunteer wrote on Reddit. In a committee vote, excuse me, an abstention is not neutral. It has the same practical effect as a no, because the bill only advances if it gets a majority of yes votes. Not enough yeses means the bill stops here for this session. That is the loss. The volunteer also claimed that the campaign had attempted to pass the bill without any funding or lobbying, stating, "This was our first attempt in our first year in the United States with a U.S. budget of $0. No paid staff in California, no war chest, no in-person lobbying operation. The timeline was so compressed that we could not get funding in place fast enough to put people in the building." They do say later on in the story that's going to change. The plan going forward is let's up our lobbying, which is required. I pointed this out on Last of the Nintendogs last night, Lexi. It was a YouTube video essay about taxes and stuff, and it had a research study that they found of like how policy breaks down in the United States and like what gets passed and what doesn't based on popularity. And it's like if something is 100% popular and everyone wants it, it does happen. But as soon as you get to like 95% of people wanting it, if you then just look at what the top 1% wants, well, if they want it, it passes. If they don't want it, it passes maybe 51% of the time. Maybe. If 95% of if everyone else wants it and they don't, 51% of the time it passes, which doesn't, compared to 100% of the time, if rich people want something, whether it's popular or not, 100% of the time they get it. Like that is what that study showed. It's like, oh, we don't live in a democracy. So it's like, you got to get them, you have to lobby.
To be fair, Grubb, you are describing democracy.
Yeah, right. Democracy, money's speech, as the Supreme Court keeps reminding us over and over again, which means that money is how we vote now.
It is funny that like America loves to be like, we're the home of democracy. And
we started this bitch.
Yeah, and then you look at like the actual democratic system that you have in place with like the Supreme Court and every other democracy that came after, and all of them just being like, yeah, that seems like it could be abused. Let's not do that. Let's not set our country up in such a way that 9 people can decide basically everything.
We didn't
for their entire
vote for
lives.
Senators for like the first like several decades of this country. They were selected by state representatives. So it's like it was always meant to protect the property like that from the beginning. That's how this stuff was. We've always been an oligarchy. That's the secret. All right. So that's what that video is about. It's about oligarchy. It's from that guy used to be Mormon. I can't remember his name. He does great sort of motion graphics videos and stuff like that. You could probably find it if you just search oligarchy on YouTube. The funny thing happened at this thing before we move on when they were debating this in the Senate in California. There was a conversation about private servers, and the ESA lobbyist said that private servers are illegal. Private servers for video games are illegal, like the ones for Minecraft, and that's not true. That's flat out not true. And the person that was sort of like trying to argue against them was like, What are you talking about? Like, no. And so the ESA did put out an update. And so, correction, no, double down. The ESA has provided VGC with a statement addressing the above claim. Private servers infringe on the intellectual property rights of game publishers. Publishers reserve the right to exercise their rights against them. The provision in California, AB 1921, that proposed these servers as a legitimate alternative to keep games running, raises concerns about a publisher's ability to enforce their IP rights. Okay, there's 2 different things. If you want to talk about like the private servers that like keep games going, that sort of were built by the community, but there are a lot of private servers that aren't that. And obviously there's a gray area in between where some of these things could be happening, but just to flat out claim that they are illegal And that is going to be the ESA's position because they want them to be, it sounds like. Crazy. All right. We'll see it once like they go into round 2 of these things. Lexi, they're going to keep trying in California. They say that they're interested in trying at the federal level in the United States. This is something that will take years. Like if it feels hopeless in this moment, sure. But I think I continue to say at the very least, these conversations need to keep happening so that companies get spooked and maybe they start just doing these things themselves, the whole self-regulation thing, which is not great, but sometimes the best we can hope for.
I also just remembered something. Remember that Sony introduced dynamic regional pricing?
Yeah.
And user-based pricing?
Yeah. Huh. Oh, boy. And that's easier to do when you're not competing with retailers.
Yeah.
For points of comparison.
Yeah.
Man, it just finds ways to keep getting worse. All right. Rockstar, for people wondering exactly what that is, they have pricing where it's like you can go into the store, and if you're logged in, you might see one price. If you're logged out, you might see another. And of course, the way it worked right now was I think people who were logging in were seeing discounts targeted at them. But just like Nintendo with the, hey, we're going to have a different price for physical and digital, and that means the the digital version is going to be cheaper than the physical. It's like, yeah, but also now the digital or the physical can be more expensive than a $70 digital game. And that's how you get back to $80. The price for a targeted dynamic pricing thing could also go up, and they could charge you more if they know a game is in more demand. Finally, Rockstar accused of ignoring pay inequity, mandating crunch, and weaponizing bonuses. This is from Chris Kurt at Game Developer. This is a read worth keeping up with, especially as Grand Theft Auto news keeps pumping out. This keeps up with that crew of people who were fired allegedly for trying to form a union at Rockstar. Rockstar claims they allege that they were fired for sharing privileged information that they did not have permission to share. There evidence for that, in my opinion, based on what we've seen so far and some great reporting from People Make Games. That seems like a lie, but that's just what it seems like to me. So following up on all of that, the people who are part of that, of trying to grow that union, who were fired in the union itself, are coming up with a laundry list of other reasons that Rockstar was a troublesome place to work, including pay inequity between gender, as well as weaponizing bonuses. This idea of like most of the pay of what you should expect comes from these bonuses, where that means that you kind of have to be a good little pet to the person who decides what your bonus is, and you are afraid to speak out against them. And that sounds awful to me. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
And it kind of sounds a little bit like how Valve works as well. I think Valve is primarily bonus based, where it's like that's how people decide what project they're going to work on. Can it get me the biggest bonus? And it's like, yeah, you don't really think about how that could be really toxic, but of course it could be. They have a bunch of other stuff, obviously mandating crunch, where they have a thing in the contract when you go to work at Rockstar, Lexi, where it's like, here's a checkbox you can check. We'll put it here, make it easy for you to waive your rights against like the laws here in the country where we work that say you can't, as an employer, ask an employee to work more than 10 extra hours a week. It's like, well, go ahead and waive that now as you're signing up here, and we'll just go ahead and get you on that crunch. All this stuff
while we're at it. While we're at it.
All this stuff sounds like, yeah, that sounds right for the Rockstar we've known for forever. And even if there have been improvements to the crunch over time, I don't think anyone's like, and now that is a joyful place to work.
Yeah. Everything that you hear coming out of Rockstar, first you hear very little specifically, which is a telltale sign. And second, when you do hear things, it's usually like, yeah, it's exactly what you'd expect. Even when the company was getting its act together, it was getting its act together in order to not have another Jason Schreier report.
Yes,
not getting its act
on that. Yeah,
not getting its act together because it wanted to support its employees and be a better place to work and be, more equitable for everyone. So yeah, like none of this is surprising, but I hope they keep dragging them across the coals. And I hope that this gets picked up by local media, especially local British media, because that's the thing that will actually impact all of this. Is Like, it's one thing for us to commentate about it in the games industry in different countries, but if local British media picks up on it and it becomes an issue of these workers are being abused in their workplace, then it is an actual problem for this company.
Right. Because, like, Rockstar PR and relations people, they'll watch this and they won't love it. But you're right. The leadership at Rockstar and Take-Two begin to feel heat when it is that local media. You're right, and that yes, that's true. All right, so that's the news. That's the headlines. That's how it's going right now. Again, an industry in crisis. This is where we're at. That doesn't mean we all have to despair, everybody. We'll try to keep finding some fun stuff to focus on while we keep also keeping up with and dealing with this news as it comes out. I do think that we're going to have some hard decisions as like groups of gamers where it's like, man, do we need to keep chasing what's next? Is the PS6 something we should be concerning ourselves that greatly with? And it's going to be hard not to because we're just so used to that. But gaming's just going to have to be something different going forward for the next 5 years at least. All right, let's get out of these headlines. We have the poll question from earlier this week. Are you excited for Splatoon Raiders? When this poll went up, we had not seen that Nintendo Direct yet. Now we have. 30% responded saying yes. 70% said no. I'm pretty into it, but also as a sort of reminding myself, it's like, oh, we don't matter here. Kit Ellis pointed out that the sort of peak concurrent viewers for the YouTube stream of that Splatoon Raiders Direct in the United States hit something like 50,000 viewers. Yes, something like 50,000 viewers, whereas the Japanese stream had 250,000 viewers simultaneously. That game is just so big in Japan, the rest of the world doesn't matter, and I bet they're excited about it.
I mean, the idea of we made a Splatoon what has Monster Hunter style multiplayer hunts and raids in it.
Yeah, it sounds
like they know what they're doing.
Targeted, yes.
Yeah, it sounds like they were laser focused on one specific market right there. And God bless them, that sounds fantastic.
Yep, gotta love the Splooners, absolutely. All right, new poll question here in a second. Before we do that, though, Lexi, tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, you can find me on Blue Sky at lexluddy.xyz. I am currently doing some reviews for gamer guides on some stuff I can't talk about. I have a preview going up next week, which is one of those July embargoes, but I'm excited to actually talk about that. I will be at Gamescom this year, booked my first Gamescom appointment, so hopefully I'll see some folks out there and make some cool stuff happen at that. And yeah, go support startmenu.co.uk. It's a website for people trying to break into games media. I think now more than ever is a really important time to have people reporting on this space rigorously and ethically and thoughtfully and writing about these things and supporting new voices in that space. So if you can support us, do over on patreon.com/startmenu.
Excellent stuff. Excellent as always. Just having you on here talking about games with you and everything. I appreciate that. New poll question. Let's see here. I have it written down and I went away from it.
Also, small thing before I forget. Trans rights, as always.
Yes.
Shout out to the US folks. It's bad everywhere, but yesterday was particularly bad for US folks. So sending love.
Yep. Supreme Court protecting us from the greatest of threats. That one girl who wanted to play sports with her friends. Yep. Great stuff. All right. Let's see here. Yes. New poll question. Do you still buy video games on physical discs? Yes or no? Let's still talk about this. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Get the results. See how people are feeling about it. We'll have Game Mess Mornings here on Giant Bomb tomorrow to end the week. That does mean that will be when we do the Bomb 12, everybody. So go ahead and get over to giantbomb.com, scroll down, find the vote here button, submit your game for the Bomb 12. We'll wrap up the week, go into the holiday weekend. I'll be on vacation, but Game S Mornings will return on Monday. Mike Minotti will be in this seat. I appreciate it.
Somehow Game S Mornings has returned.
It has returned, absolutely. But with all of that out of the way, let's see what else is happening on Giant Bomb. In about 30 minutes, we're going to be sitting down with Abby Russell, and we're going to be talking about handheld emulation devices. Chinese handhelds, everybody. It's the future. They're also getting expensive, so what the hell? But I've got three kind of in different tiers that we're going to talk about, and Dan's bringing some. We're bringing our Sean, who can kind of speak to the technical aspects better than anybody. About
you let Sean out? You let Sean out of?
I'm letting Sean. Well, let's letting him out. It's just strong. We're gonna sort of like leash him.
You let him walk around the back garden.
Exactly. You know? Yeah. Let him get some sunshine. Absolutely. So tune in for that. I'm looking forward to it. It's just gonna be a hangout. We're gonna be talking about these things, showing up, kind of just show and tell. And then it's Wednesday. So there is a Blight Club, and Dan's done, and Mike went before him, so obviously it's my turn. No, Jacob Geller with a Super Blight Jumper Griffin story, as we're calling it, Jumper Geller story. That will be happening
today. Excited for this. I am so excited for this.
We're going to try to see if you can beat the whole thing today, because it's under 4 hours, but no promises. No promises. It will just be an extra long Blight, which is great timing on that, because I really could use every minute I could to get ready for my trip, but whatever, this is more important. So when I come back from my vacation, I'll have to deal with Blight Club at that point. Wonderful. It has been since August since I played a real Blight Club game. And even that was Trespasser, Lexi, which I kind of liked.
August. Grubb, it has almost been a year.
It's almost been a year, which is crazy. All right. My time's come. I get it. This is going to be bad. I'm worried. I got to go get CDI up and running or something. Great. All right, let's see. With all that out of the way, Lexi, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's always so nice to revel in the lovely news and, you know, talk about how chipper we are. And, you know, this is why people think that we're depressed.
Thank you all for watching and listening, despite the obvious depression on your screen. We'll catch you next time. Until then, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.